One of the most important things to consider when you first start setting up your home studio is how much space you have. Here, we're shooting in a space that was previously my dining room. We moved the dining room table out. So I have about 11 feet by about 18 or 19 feet with 8.5-foot ceilings. Ceiling height is actually the most important, so you can get lights above your model and still shoot full length. When thinking about setting up my home studio, one of the things I think about is simplifying my lighting. I'm really focused on having a main light and a fill light. For my fill light, I love having this big, large octa here, which kind of acts as a window. And then for my main light, I want something that kind of serves dual function. Having this indirect umbrella, I'm able to use it as both a hard source, and by putting a sock on it, I can easily use it as a soft source as well. In future episodes, we'll dig a little bit more into other lighting that we can use to replicate sunlight and things like that, depending on if you're shooting on an overcast day and the light isn't as you expected. But for this episode, in which we're going to dig into a lot of other stuff, we're going to keep the lighting part simple. Once you know what lighting you're going to use, the next important thing is what lighting and supports are you going to use in order to set up your home studio. First, I'm going to start with the background. For the background, I'm using autopoles. I use autopoles because I can get them right next to the wall, therefore they save me a huge amount of space. I'm using a Kupo crossbar, and I'm using 2 Kupo combi clamps with J-hooks. Then when it comes to my stands, I love to use C-stands because I'm able to get them really, really close to the wall. I'm able to stack them together. I like the C-stands that have the one Hollywood leg. This allows me to put them right next to a table, next to the couch. And I love to have one large rolling stand if possible, and it'll fit within the space because it can support a boom, allowing me to easily telescope my main light wherever that I want it, get it really, really high to the ceiling, and I can make little adjustments simply by rolling it around versus dragging it. In the description below, you can get links to all the gear that we're using to set up our backdrop. Another thing you may want to consider when setting up your home studio is props. Working in a very tight space, the way you change it around is by having different backgrounds, different props, and adjusting your lighting. So when I choose my props, A, I love using Apple boxes. B, I love these painted backdrops because I feel like they can easily change and transform a look and you don't even know where you're at. And I like bringing in other elements such as these other stained Apple boxes, this white stool, and then my dining room chairs, which also serve as set pieces sometimes as well. So now that we have our home studio set up, you may ask yourself, why is a meter important here? A meter is very important here because in a large studio, we have the ability to set up 4 or 5 different sets and walk our model through each one of them. And if you want to go back and rephotograph one of the sets, it's easy because it's already set up and ready to go. In a home studio, you have a limited amount of space and you may do 4 or 5 different setups in the same exact area. And if you have to come back and revisit one of the setups you already did on the same shoot, having a meter will be critical. It will enable you to quickly dial in what your settings were before so that your shots match exactly. Not just close, but exact. You can only get that type of precision when you're using a meter. When you're working in your home studio, you're gonna wanna rethink a few things. First of all, when you're working in a big studio, it's easy to have like a nice big wind machine. But in your home studio, my recommendation is simply get a power tool. Give it to an assistant, your hairstylist, and you can get nice wind effects on your model's hair. Another thing is adding atmosphere. You can do it 2 ways. For this shoot, we use the haze machine, or you can get canned atmosphere. Easy way just to add a little bit more production value to your shots. So the concept for this shoot is almost as if we were shooting a fashion lookbook. We have 3 kind of casual chic looks, and we want to have 3 different setups for each one that complemented them. So we have 3 painted backdrops. Painted backdrops have been used all the way back from the early 1900s. Photo shoots with photographers like Irving Penn and many photographers who've made them even more popular today. They're an easy way to transform the space, and it's a great way to get different variations in terms of the look, so you can get 3 completely different looks simply by changing the background. You can lay them on the floor as well as put them right up against the wall, and they also work to kind of transform your space. I love how we have a painted backdrop here in the back, which is a gravity backdrop light gray, which gives us this nice kind of cement look. and then following up with like a distressed green-gray backdrop on the floor. Again, it kind of looks like we're in a concrete warehouse photographing this model. So they really added to the feel and emotion of the shoot and helped take the viewer out of thinking that they're just in a small apartment. So we hope you enjoyed this episode of the Formula Lighting Show, in which we talked more about how to get set up inside of your own home studio. We're going to continue this series. We're going to visit other photographers inside their home studios, and we're going to give you even more tips and tricks on how you can work in small spaces. So stay tuned for more episodes of the Formula Lighting Show. So subscribe, hit the bell, and stay tuned for more.